Actually, when Richard and I got together and we said, well, what's the title of the show going to be? Well, that was really what we wanted to find a common ground, although the work is already common in that it's found object city, it's, it's free association. There's a lot of, similarities with what we're doing. But so we decided on this phrase, please don't step on the art, because, it's down there and it's up there. It's like it's everywhere, and we're actually stepping on the planet, and it's all art. That's what we find, on the street or wherever. Everything's just asking to be used. So once we got that, we just went to town. We just said, okay, let's bring a few things in, some just objects, and start playing with this space. The space was important as much as the objects, as of course it is. So we had lots of time. The gallery was open for like 3, 5, 6 weeks, I think. So we would, bring stuff in, take stuff away, move it around. So it was more of the process. Yes, the show was on for 3 days, but hey, we had our show, in 6 weeks. So anyway, it came to pass, and here we are. We're sort of. I had this little thing at the end where I always like to have some kind of a performance, or at least an interactive piece. So I did the Duchamp, tip of the hat to Marcel Duchamp with the spinning wheel, the bicycle wheel on the stool. The first piece of art that was actually talked about where the audience can actually touch the work, right? It's like, hey, please touch the work. So the piece I just put in there in the kitchen was like I was inviting people to spin the wheel, and as it's spinning, tell a story about you and a bike, to whoever's around. So we've all got stories, and that's what, again, all this stuff is, narrative and stories. So yeah, it pretty much covers how we've kind of orchestrated the thing, and we've had fun. There's been a lot of surprises, and that's and it's only art, right? Yeah. Anyway, thank you.
When I'm working, I always have on my mind the idea of the cave. It's kind of, I suppose, in contemporary, the way you look at it in a contemporary way is like a joke is the man cave kind of thing, but I think I'm more into like 20,000 years ago in the cave in southern France and northern Spain. Took some courses at UVic about cave art and from some pretty interesting people, and this also links into we were in Paris a few months ago and found ourselves not in a conscious way, but just we stumbled across the Museum of the Hunt and Nature, which is an extremely weird place. And it's got the last 200 or 300 years of dead animals on the walls and the ceilings, and it's just this vast interior, and as well as paintings, like hundreds and hundreds of paintings of the hunt, and it goes, it refers to a time that's gone. But the atmosphere in there was really incredible. It had contemporary works spread all the way throughout, and it really had quite an impact on me, and kind of extended that idea of the hunter and the Paleolithic guy with his torch going down the cave and taking that risk just to do art and commune with the spirits in the cave. I mean, that was their church in there. And so, yeah, as I was telling you earlier, I just found at an auction, I found this old trunk. It had a whole bunch of art papers in it, and I bought it, and I took it apart, and I wound up with this part as the top and this part as the lining, and these two pieces here as the skin that went around the trunk. So it all kind of relates back into the hunt in a way, which I'm not a hunter, or I'm a pacifist kind of person, you know. And it was, so, you know, I'm not trying to glorify anything like the hunt, but there's just some, like a strong energy in it for me, and that's where this room goes. And I've done, as you mentioned, I've done other pieces in here, and it's kind of like, I was reading this morning about escape rooms and the, I guess it's in the gaming world, or something in the computer world that I'm not that familiar with, but it kind of triggered that idea, and yeah, so that's about what it's about.
So this particular installation here in the Please Don't Step on the Art show is called Levels, and it's referring really to how I sort of just firstly meditated in the room here before I put anything in there. And of course the baseboard heater, the white baseboard heater, sort of said a lot to me in that electricity, power, there's all kinds of controversy right now about damming valleys and rivers and such, just to gain more power. And of course, more power is, has a lot of connotations. So the baseboard heater thing was the one part, and then I started thinking about levels of water, levels of power, levels of consciousness, levels of, a whole range of aspects to the word levels. And then it introduced these vertical pieces, which are certainly relics. They've been taken out of the woods and kind of sort of combined with other stuff, other kind of found detritus stuff. And then I just added the jars of water that have different levels of water in them, and the pigments. The pigments are sort of a indication of the earth and the soil. And my pine needles outside my house, I've got like millions of them. So they kind of add some kind of shifting, patterning piece there. And then the drawing that I found, it's my drawing, but I did it over 40 years ago, and it was in my dad's attic. After he died, I had to clean out his house and found this old drawing that I thought, hey, this might be useful for something. So it is the clever monkey. That's what I call it, and it's what we are, I guess. I've used the chimpanzee and the gorilla and the monkey in my imagery over the years, and so this is probably the first one that I did. So it's in that industrial frame. It certainly just seems to sort of relate to the sort of the remains of this space here. So I think that covers the levels of, at this stage. And anyway, there could probably be more levels for me to explore. Yeah.